I've trained thousands of large dogs over the years, and let me tell you something, size is not the only factor when it comes to knowing whether this dog's going to be a pleasure or a problem in your home. It's all about matching their needs to your home and your experience. Here's how to know whether a large breed is the right fit for you. We've got our 10 most popular large breeds, and the first one we're starting off with is the German Shorthaired Pointer. Activity level extremely high. These are super driven dogs. I have yet to come across a GSP that is a laid back, chilled guy. These dogs need a lot of activity, they need a lot of exercise, and if you're not prepared to do that, please don't get a GSP. It's going to be, there's going to be heartache, you're not going to be happy, and the dog's not going to be happy. Sociability, they tend to be mostly sociable to people and other dogs, but they're quite intense. You know, it's like they've got a job to do, and they don't like any distraction around that. And sometimes this can be perceived as being unsociable to other dogs or people. Noise-wise, not particularly noisy dogs, but if they're not having their behavioral needs met, you might find that they are noisy purely because they're trying to fill their time with something if they're not being provided with that exercise and that outlet for their inherent energy. In terms of maintenance, nice, smooth, easy, short coat to take care of. Then we have our Malinois, which is also an incredibly high energy breed. There's been a tremendous surge in popularity of the Malinois, which is great, but a lot of people who actually don't have the ability or the experience, or how can I say, the force of character to own these dogs, do end up owning them, and it's problematic. An incredible breed of dog in the right hands, but there's not many homes that are going to provide for every single thing that a Malinois needs. So if you're thinking about a Malinois, please be really honest with yourself in terms of whether you'll be able to provide this dog breed with what it needs. Sociability, we do get some Malinois that can be quite sharp with people and other dogs, and that's another aspect of owning a Malinois that you need to consider. It's not a Labrador that you can turn your back and not worry how the dog's going to respond to something. It's eyes on all the time with this dog breed. Noise, they can be noisy, especially if their needs are not being met. Maintenance, nice, smooth, easy coat to take care of. When deciding which dog breed is right for you, here's a tip that'll make all the difference. Talk to the pros, trainers, vets, groomers. We see the patterns, challenges, and surprises. Some breeds look perfect on paper, but they can be overwhelming for first-time owners. Others seem high maintenance, but fit perfectly. Don't just rely on breed profiles or quizzes. Reach out to someone who knows the real-life implications and has hands-on experience. Choose wisely. Your future self will thank you. Then the English Setter. Beautiful breed. I just always think of them as real gentlemen. Activity level, medium. If you're getting an English Setter or any of the Setter varieties from working lines, obviously the activity level is going to be higher. Sociability, normally very sociable with human and hound alike. Noise, not particularly noisy dogs. Maintenance, you've got the coat. There's a little bit of maintenance that's, well, not a little bit, a moderate amount of maintenance that's going to be needed on that coat. The boxer, activity level, high. Boxers are certifiably insane, every single one of them. I love them, but they're all a bit nuts. Sociability, great normally with people. You might need to watch them with other dogs. It's a lot of dog, and they tend to be quite, it seems mean when I use this word, but they're quite obnoxious. They're quite forward. And this can sometimes sort of tick other dogs off a little bit. So I think sometimes the boxer feels that everyone's always quite unfriendly towards them. So they start off being a little bit unfriendly. I'm obviously talking with regards to other dogs here. So that's something to think about if you're thinking about getting a boxer. I think they've got it in them to be super sociable, but it requires quite a bit of work to make sure that that is what comes to the fore. Noise-wise, with their brachycephalic face shape, they're less inclined to bark or be noisy dogs, so that's great. They are, however, very inclined to do a lot of snorting. And there's always, and I love boxers, don't get me wrong, but there's always a lot of spit when boxers are around. Great dogs. Maintenance, nice, short, easy coat. The German Shepherd activity level can be high in most of your German Shepherds, especially if they're coming from a sport line. That activity level is going to be exceptionally high. I'm talking Malinois level high. Sociability depends very much on the line. Your show line is generally going to be more sociable, whereas your working or your sport line are, again, similar to the GSP. They are quite intense, they're really focused, and they seem to resent anything that intrudes upon that. Noise, the German Shepherd. They can be incredibly noisy dogs, and they always bark in syllables. It's never just woof, it's always woo, 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 woo. I recently, well, I say recently, it's almost 2 years now that I lost my Sportline German Shepherd. He was a lovely boy, but oh, the barking. If it weren't for that barking, I'd have another one in a heartbeat. But it's something that I find very consistent across the breed. They're very alert to their environment. They're very switched on. They're very keen. And they're very quick to alert the rest of their family or to alert their handler that, hey, something slightly out of the ordinary is going on over there. We need to go check it out. But amazing all-round dogs. Maintenance, the coat is surprisingly challenging to maintain. There's quite a lot of brushing that's required with that. I was quite surprised with my GSD. Thinking to myself, he's from a sport line, they've got a smoother coat, and he did, but he still had that GSD double coat. So there was a lot of grooming that I had to do to keep him in tip-top shape. Then we have the Rolls Royce of the dog world, the Golden Retriever. Activity level, and I feel like a bit of a broken record, can be high depending on the lines that the dog comes from. But I would say most of the time your Golden Retriever's activity level is going to be medium, not going to be anything massively excessive. Sociability, almost without fail, super sociable towards people and other dogs. Noise, not exceptionally noisy dogs. Maintenance, the coat. There's a lot of grooming, there's a lot of brushing that needs to be done to maintain that gorgeous coat of the Golden Retriever. Following hot on the heels of the Golden Retriever is the Labrador Retriever. As a young child, I had a lovely Lab Cross as my very first dog, and I've always retained a heck of an affinity for the breed. I've also had the pleasure of working with a lot of Labradors, both professionally and recreationally. One of my hobbies is showing dogs, and I've shown Labradors for a couple of kennels, many labbies over the years. I absolutely love Labradors. Activity level, medium high, and they stay puppies until the day they die. These guys just never seem to grow up. It can be a little bit frustrating to deal with that, but they're always so happy about everything. I've joked in the past, I've said it's not biologically appropriate for something to be that happy all of the time. Sociability with your labbies, it's normally really good with people and other dogs. I have, however, worked with some Labradors that have got sociability issues with other dogs, and I don't think it's an inherent sociability issue with a dog. I think it's more an issue with how the dog is not being guided on how to behave. And, dogs are just like people. Unless we give guidance for appropriate social behavior and we leave it up to the dog, they'll often make the wrong choices. So I think inherently there is great sociability there, the potential for great sociability, but it's important to make sure that we still guide it in the right directions. Noise, labbies are not particularly noisy dogs. I think that's their saving grace. But yeah, Labradors, great dogs, absolutely love them. Maintenance on your labbies, there can be quite a bit of brushing. It's not as intense as it would be on the Golden Retriever, for example, but they'll still need a good brush out from time to time. It's really important to remember that dogs of the same breed aren't clones. You can get a chilled out Border Collie or one that's bouncing off the walls, or a busy Basset Hound who dislikes snoozing on the couch. Individual personality, upbringing, environment, they all play a big role. So while breed traits give you a good starting point, they don't guarantee a carbon copy personality. Always meet the individual dog, or if you're getting a puppy, ask about the parents and their temperaments too. Or even better, spend some time with the parents. to get an idea of their pup's likely temperament. Taking your time to make the right choice will maximize happiness for you and your dog. Dobermans, amazing dogs. Activity levels, medium to high. These are working dogs. They're capable of great things, highly trainable, very, very intelligent. Sociability, not always the greatest. And when you consider that one of their functions was to guard and protect, it's not surprising. A Labrador would be pretty useless at guarding and protecting, and that's why we have these different breeds. So Dobes, you want to watch them around other dogs and sometimes around people that they don't know. Again, if you're maximizing sociability in terms of socializing your puppy while they're growing up, you can make sure that what the dog is capable of is what you are able to see expressed when the dog is an adult. But you will always be constrained by those genetic boundaries. Noise-wise, Dobies, they've got a big bark, that's for sure, but they're not renowned for being excessive barkers, and maintenance, nice, easy coat to take care of. Then the Bernese Mountain Dog, beautiful dog, very, very sweet. Activity level, I would put it on the low end of the scale, low to medium. Sociability, beautiful, very, very sociable to people and other dogs. Noise-wise, not very noisy dogs. And maintenance, there's quite a bit of maintenance with that coat. That's a lot of coat that you've got to brush through. And sadly, Bernese Mountain Dogs do seem to have more health issues than a lot of other breeds. Obviously, there are breeders out there who will screen and really make sure that they're breeding dogs that are as healthy as possible. But Bernese Mountain Dogs, unfortunately, seem to have a little bit more than average health issues for a breed. Thinking about getting a dog, every breed has its own health risks. Ignoring this fact can lead to heartache. Do your homework before you choose. Research common conditions in the breed you're considering. Ensure breeders do health testing. Ask your vet what to watch for if you have a crossbreed or a rescue. A little research now saves worry later. Your future self and your dog will thank you. And then the Rottweiler. Love Rotties. Activity level, medium, maybe medium to high. Sociability, very similar to the Dobes. These dogs were bred they were actually bred for droving or driving cattle, as well as guarding and protecting. So you can expect them to be a little bit suspicious of new people until they get to know them. And they're not going to be sort of the Golden Retriever United Nations ambassador when it comes to meeting other dogs. So this is something you've just got to have your wits about you with them. Not exceptionally noisy dogs, and that coat is relatively easy to maintain. It's not as, how can I say, thin. That doesn't seem to be the right word. It's a thicker coat than you would find on a dog like a Great Dane, for example. But we're not talking as much plumage or hair as you would find on a Bernese Mountain Dog. Large dogs can be calm companions or complete chaos, depending on if you choose a breed that is right for you. If you're thinking about a giant breed, stick around for our next video where we go through the most popular giant breeds and also share our experiences in terms of their activity level, sociability, and maintenance. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, consider subscribing, and drop us a comment with any stories that you'd like to share about large breeds.